everybody. Week 2 is done. Week 3 is heading at you. So I just finished grading your week 2 Thursday night items. And for the most part, it seems like this class is actually statistically doing really well. Most of you, I think at this point, 90% of you are meeting the due dates, many working ahead, which I always appreciate, and seem to be understanding the work and knowing how to submit it. So that is great news. So I saw some good comments on the Stack Overflow survey, just things that caught your attention. So if you didn't read some of the comments beyond what you needed to, I definitely recommend reading through those, because some people there was a couple people that focused on the same thing, but most of you selected something different to focus on, and that was good. And I generally know this forward, right? I generally say if there's multiple things we're picking from, just pick unique items. And then the roadmap coming in on last night was good. I know it was quite a bit of content, but most of you did a really nice job using headings and then bullets, or doing your concepts in one way or the other based on Markdown, which was awesome. And then, of course, the thing that you did this week that you just finished was the Github Pages. And I think I only saw one person have a little bit of a struggle, and the key to that assignment is the way you name the repo. And that particular repo, unlike the two that we use for this class, is in your own GitHub, right? Because the thing is, on GitHub, when you create an account, it creates a space on GitHub that is just for your content. But what I have had you do was join our GitHub organization, which places you in a different area of GitHub that is specifically for this class. So, and the reason I'm saying this now is that we are getting ready to move into week 3, in which we make a big change from the way you're used to using GitHub. So I just want to, and I say this in the video, but I just believe, and I've had it happen enough to hopefully give you the heads up about this, is once you work through, I actually probably need to say a word about HTTP as I see it rolling past there, because it is such, and it is becoming such, it is such a standard, but not everyone's doing it. I remember reading somebody's comment that there's 30% of the web that is still not secured, meaning the website. So it's not completely implemented, but it sure needs to be, and Google is hurting search results because of it. Anyway, coming back to here. So this week, we move from working out on GitHub, which is a site, to setting up our local environments using the Git software in order to keep track of the changes that you make to your code, allow you to commit those changes locally and all. You'll learn this week about the Github Workflow. First, you'll clone it locally. You'll need to install VS Code unless you have an editor you like. I don't dictate which one to use, but if you haven't used one, I definitely recommend VS Code in this case. So this week is a major milestone for this class. And if I could just give you I was searching this morning to help you conceptually see the difference between what is Git and what is GitHub, right? So I thought this one did a pretty good job. Git is software installed only on your local systems. It's a command line tool. It's used for managing different versions or edits. And GitHub is a service. It's a website. It also provides a graphical user interface, okay? So in this sense, we're going to be moving from using this website graphical GUI, graphical user interface, to a local system that we will use the command line. And there's so many reasons I have this week in here, mostly because you're going to need it from here on out. And if you're taking one of my programming classes, which a couple of you are, the students in those classes actually have to do this week's work in week 1. And so part of the reason our courses are scheduled this way is to get you a little more gentle introduction into working in a local dev environment. And if you haven't heard those words, that's okay too, but you're basically just setting up your local computer to allow you to do development work, okay? And then you're pushing your changes out to the web. So just FYI. And the thing I'm going to leave you with before I move on to my kind of current topic discussion for the end of the video here is just that, what was I going to say there? Ooh, the train of thought went somewhere else. Here's what it was, is that make sure after you clone that repo and have it locally that you only change the files on your local system. And here's why. Because it's keeping track, right? So you're working locally, you're changing code, and then you're pushing it out to GitHub. If during that transition, after you clone, you modify the stuff, the files, the code out on GitHub, it will throw an error to your local system. Now, there's definitely ways to fix it. It's not big deal, but I just want you to know the intent is that we move from no longer working on GitHub. We're still pushing and providing links, but it is really that you're working locally. Cool? I hope so. This week with the transition of a new inauguration of a new president with all of its things, there was a technical aspect that came out that I thought was very interesting. I heard some of the people that I listen to a lot talk about this. And on whitehouse.gov, and let me just show it to you. If you go to whitehouse.gov and you right click and you hit inspect, which you really will learn in the future weeks about the importance of looking at, let me just show you this. So if I drop out of it, so this is the way you would normally see the site. And if you right click and you hit inspect, this drops you into what's called DevTools in Chrome. Now, this is true with other browsers as well. But there's something really interesting when you look at the head section right here, is if you're reading this, we need your help to build back better, right? So this is great. This is like them reaching out to people who would be more likely to see these kind of messages, and it tells these folks, right? And these folks would be us, right? And you might think, well, I don't have enough experience. Well, the truth is, you don't know until you try. The more you learn, the more you can offer. And just the process of figuring out what something like that would take is good. So there's no bad side of it. And the more important thing is not necessarily to promote working for the government. I'm not saying that either. It's more that, you know, when we see people responding, people, in this case, businesses, trying to find people to help them in the technology area, in the website area, development, front end, back end, whatever that is, they're finding unique ways to reach out to you because this skill is really, and I don't want to say high demand because it depends on what area you're specializing in. There are many people, as you kind of saw in the survey, there are many people that are beginning this path into being web developers. So junior developers might be plentiful, but as you get more experience, right, there's just more and more opportunities like anything in life. But as you can see how much of our lives are affected by technology, there's just a new demand for having these tech skills. So good for you for being here. I hope we help you gather some of those skills. So I didn't see a lot of activity for this class out on Discord. And maybe that just means that you're figuring out how to do the work and you're not having any questions, which is awesome. Just don't forget that that is a way. Just know my process. You know, I wake up in the morning, I grade today, I grade every day, but today's that special day after a due date, right? So after a due date, when I grade, right, I'm not just grading the work that's submitted, but if you don't submit something, I would put a 0 in there. So remember, you can do late work. It is just discounted by 25%. So there's a real push to do things on time. I will show you my local dev environment after cloning both the 2 repos that are in our GitHub organization and my Git pages. So I'm trying to remember, because I think in week 3, I might not specifically talk about cloning the GitHub pages, but let me just tell you here before you move into that work, maybe, it is a good thing to go ahead and do that. You're going to need it anyway, and I think I maybe drop a reminder later, but it is a good experience to learn how in VS Code, right, to actually bring up, right, so I'm in VS Code, and if you don't, so when you first open it, you're going to get all this information about maybe the last time it was updated, because it gets updated all the time. And then you can go to terminal and do new. And then this is where you run the commands that I talk about, which is the git clone. And then make sure you're following those videos, you're doing those commands. And then this could be a week you probably will. For some of you, have some could have some challenges that you're going to want to reach out and get some help with. The sooner in the assignment cycle, the better for that. So anyway, have a great weekend. Hope this helps you out. I hope this gives you some other informations. Thanks, other informations. We're talking way too fast. Thanks for being here. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.